As a cop, he stood up for the law. As a trial lawyer, he fought for the truth. And as a criminal court judge, he commanded authority. Now he returns to preside over America's courtroom. Judge Alex. He is a well-known rapper, and it's his job to let the world know.
As a promoter, what do you do to plan the event?
What you do is you book the club. All right, you have security. You get flyers done. You can do radio promotions.
Okay. So you promote this whole event.
I still have to pay for the club. I still got to pay for the DJ. I still had to pay for the security. All that for that particular night.
Then he called a wrap on the event.
So the day before, he don't know if he's gonna be able to do the event.
This club where he's having this event at is in Augusta, Georgia. This city, Augusta, Georgia, and I have a history of just violence and negativity. Somebody had just got shot at that club the weekend before I was supposed to be there.
Today, Judge Alex figures out if Pastor Troy had a right to change his tune.
Mr. Holloway, you're his manager.
Yes.
You knew it was at the club, right?
During the time that we did the event, he was telling me that it was 30 to 45 minutes away from Augusta. I didn't know that it was actually in Augusta. If I knew that, then I wouldn't have did the show.
Does the contract have the location in it?
Knowing that
It's 20 minutes outside of Augusta, Your Honor.
That makes all the difference in the world? People who want to pop a cap and you aren't going to drive 20 minutes?
Hi, this is Judge Alex. You're listening to Wired Radio with DJ Wired and Rebel Black on Wired Nation.
All right, Saturday Night Wired Radio. We in here. Got Rebel Black over here. What's happening, man?
Hey, what's going on, Orlando, Florida, Rollins College? We have a very special guest on the line. DJ Wired, who do we have on the line right now?
We got the infamous Judge Alex. How you doing, Judge Alex? What's going on?
I'm good. Didn't know it was infamous, but that's good to hear. I'll add that to my resume somehow.
Awesome.
How's it going, guys?
Oh, it's going great. It's going great. Thanks so much for doing the interview. First off, we know you're a busy man. We just wanted to jump into your background a little bit. I was reading your bio, and it says that you were born in Cuba and you actually came over here when you were 1. How do you think that influenced you into becoming a judge, eventually becoming a judge?
Yeah, I don't know that was what influenced me to become a judge. I think that what influenced me to become a judge was, well, first of all, it was obviously quite a change going from being a little immigrant baby, my parents starting over here, to working my way up to where I'm one of very few members of a very small fraternity of judges who have nationally syndicated TV shows. So I think it really does speak to the fact that America is a land of opportunity where you can go from absolutely nothing to having a great televised position across the country. But I became a police officer right out of high school. I was the youngest cop in Florida, and I really enjoyed it. You know, I mean, I know that there are some small percentage of police officers who are jerks, but the vast majority are not. And I always felt good about what I did. You know, I felt like I was the one wearing the white hat, you know. And then I became a lawyer. I worked my way through law school, and my parents gave me some great advice to keep studying because it would give me options later on. And when I graduated, I became a lawyer, and I had a very successful practice. I was doing very well, but I just wasn't getting that personal satisfaction. So that's what led me to become a judge, because I was saying, you know, I'm making a lot more money, and I'm happy. I'm happy with that. But what I'm not happy with is I don't feel like I'm the one wearing the white hat. I'm always somebody's hired gun, whoever hires me. And I was looking for that personal satisfaction, and I just figured that being a judge would be very gratifying, and it absolutely is. So that's what drove me to become a judge.
You became the youngest circuit judge at 34. Like, how did you rise through the ranks so quick?
Well, you know, it's not a matter of rising through the ranks, although, you know, it's certainly education. I speak at schools, you know, basically any college or university calls me and says, would you come speak? I go speak, because I love talking to students about how, you know, the more education you have, the more options you get, and, you know, don't give up on your dreams, that kind of a speech. But you know, when I was, after being a lawyer for a while, realizing I didn't want to do it the rest of my life, I threw my hat in the ring, and I said, I'm going to run for judge. It's an elected position in Florida. And nobody gave me a shot. You know, I mean, everybody thought there's no way. This guy, first of all, he's too young. The youngest circuit judge at the time was over 40, and I was 33 when I decided to run. And but you know, I'm a big believer in, you know, perseverance. You go after what you want, because if you don't, you're definitely not going to get it. And I ended up just, you know, killing my opponents in the election. You know, judicial elections are usually decided by 2,000 or 3,000 votes because a lot of people don't know who to vote for, so they don't vote for judges. and I beat my opponent by 80,000 votes. So I became the youngest circuit judge in Miami. And enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved being a judge, and I was actually 10 years later, I was a couple of weeks away from an interview with the governor for a vacancy on the appeals court, and it looked like I had, I wouldn't say I had it locked up, but I had a very, very good shot. And television came calling and said, we want to do a TV show with you. We think you'd be good. And it was a hard decision to make, but I chose the TV show and backed out of the running for the vacancy on the appeals court. And we hit the ground running. We've been doing great since then. We're in season 8 is on the air right now, and I just finished taping season 9 for next year.
Now, have you ever thought about running for maybe governor or some higher office?
I got to tell you, I get asked that all the time. I don't know why people think that I should be a politician, because I really can't stand politics. I've seen how sausage is made, and I really don't want any part of it. But I get asked that all the time. Why don't you run for the House or the Senate or governor or something? And I really just don't have interest in politics. I know that myself I would do a lot of good, but the problem is you have to work within that system. You have to wheel and deal in order to get the support of other people, and frankly, I just can't stomach it.
People ask you because you're a winner. You know how to win elections, and you're a real popular person. They're going to keep asking you.
Yeah, they probably will keep asking me. Maybe one day I'll give in, but I'm enjoying doing Judge Alex. I have a lot of fun. I do other things. I do a lot of legal commentary for CNN and Fox and Headline News and MSNBC. It's kind of funny. There are some networks there that can't stand each other, but they both call me. So that I kind of feel like a bridge there. But I do that, and I travel across the country giving speeches when people want to book me for a speech, and I do a lot of. I actually do arbitration and mediation. A lot of lawyers actually call me and say, "Hey, would you try this case for us? Private judging, or will you help us settle this case?" So I keep myself pretty busy.
Now, Judge Alex, after 8 seasons, what do you think was the strangest case you've had so far?
That's such a hard question, because if you watch my show, you realize every day is stranger than the day before. When I left the bench in Miami, I was trying some very, very serious cases. That movie that just came out, Pain and Gain, with The Rock and Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
That was my trial. I was the judge. In fact, I was asked to be the judge in the movie, and unfortunately, I was giving a speech, graduation speech at the University in Boston, and wasn't able to do it. But you go from that level crime to the cases I handle, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to be entertained. I don't know how I'm going to be, challenged going from that to people fighting over smaller issues. But every day I go to work, I love my job, because people are so passionate about their cases. And of course, we go through courthouse files all over the country because they're real cases, and we look for either the weirdest or the most entertaining, or litigants who are real personalities. And so I get all kinds of weirdness. I remember one from last season where, I guess from this season it's on the air, where this guy was hired to be one of those hotshot couriers, not like FedEx, but a courier that, you give them a package and they hop in their van and they take it, 200 miles away to somebody or whatever. But it was just such a bizarre deal where he would get his instructions from a flower pot. His employer would put an envelope in a flower pot with directions on where to take it, and he would go to that flower pot and pick up the envelope. And I know what you're thinking. It is a drug runner, but he wasn't a drug runner. He was just a bizarre employer. He'd leave his paycheck in the flower pot, and he'd come back, and all he ever dealt with was a flower pot. It was just bizarre. And then we have cases that are funny, like, I had these male strippers who were doing their male review on Mother's Day, because I don't know about you, but that's what I do on Mother's Day. I take my mom to a male strip club. And it was actually at a bar, and they didn't get paid because they were too, I don't know how to put it, a little too chummy with the audience. So the case got very funny very quickly. But every day I don't know what I'm going to see. I come to court and I have no idea what my cases are going to be like. I have nothing to do with picking them. I just go in there and I try them. So it's one of the funnest jobs you can have, because every day is a new exciting day with who knows what.
you said you've done legal commentary for CNN, Fox, and contributed to a lot of those shows. Right now, you're going to do some legal commentary for Wire Radio. I'm going to ask you about a couple of cases that are high profile in Florida and nationwide, and I'm going to get your opinion on them. Right now, Jodi Arias is killing the airwaves all over TV. Real bizarre case. How do you feel about it if they have to excuse that jury?
Well, if they do, they do. I think she's. I mean, personally, I think she's going to get life. If the jury can't reach a verdict, then they mistry. They're only mistrying the penalty phase. Her conviction stands, so she will be guilty of first-degree murder, and that won't change. It's just they have to decide if they want to have a new penalty phase, pick another jury. I think that would be a monumental waste of money. I mean, you're going to have to retry a large part of that case to give the new jury, the flavor of the viciousness of the crimes. So and that doesn't guarantee the prosecutor a death penalty. I mean, I think that at some point you got to say, okay, we've spent millions and millions of dollars on this one prosecution. Do we want to spend millions more? So if they mistry the case because the jury can't reach a verdict, then I think that probably they should just make a determination that it's going to be a life sentence and not pursue the death penalty any longer. Does she deserve it? Yeah, probably. I mean, she was a vicious, vicious crime, as vicious as anybody that I've seen. The stabbing him over almost 30 times, slitting his throat and shooting him in the head. If it was a man, I would say probably would have gotten the death penalty already. But jurors really, really hate to send women to the death chamber. That's my experience as a judge. So I suspect, and this is, of course, jurors can do anything, but I suspect that she'll get a life sentence either because the jury will come back with a life recommendation, it won't be unanimous, and will hang.
Right here outside of Orlando and Sanford, the Trayvon Martin case is about to make national headlines once again. Stand your ground. There's a whole lot of things, a lot of issues that are going to be coming up. How do you feel about that case, and what's your outlook on that?
That's a very difficult case for the prosecution, and the reason it's very difficult is because there is only one side of the story, and that's going to be Zimmerman's side of the story. They'll be able to impeach him with inconsistencies in his statements, but at the end of the day, the question is going to be, do those inconsistencies carry the burden of proof beyond every reasonable doubt? That's going to be hard, in my opinion, for the jury. For the prosecution to put that all together. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think that in all likelihood, that stand your ground law is going to be raised, even though the defense attorney keeps saying, no, we're going on regular self-defense. I think that when you're a lawyer for a defendant, you pull out all the stops and you use every bullet you have in your chamber. You don't say, I'm not going to rely on this one. And it was a good concept when they came up with it. The whole idea of innocent people should not have to back down from criminals. It sounds good. The problem is that more often than not, it's actually used by criminals. I mean, in Miami, they don't even prosecute a lot of the gang fights because they show up on the scene. A lot of gang members are dead, and the other gang members stand there and go, hey, we were standing our ground. And they really have a hard time overcoming that. So it sounded good in theory, but the stand your ground law really has been used inappropriately by criminals.
Now, something that's been in the news a lot lately, Judge Alex, about the IRS discriminating against Tea Party groups and conservatives, actually going on Facebook and reading posts and asking them about their details of their prayers to get tax relief. I mean, do you think somebody's going to go to jail over that?
I think somebody should. I don't care if they are discriminating against the Tea Party groups or against liberal groups or against independent groups. I think that when a branch of government, especially one of the most powerful branches of government, goes ahead and abuses its power to go after any group of Americans, I think some heads should roll, and I don't mean firing. I think firing is just ridiculously weak. I think that what they ought to do is criminally prosecute. They should launch an investigation, find out where the instructions came from, who was at the top of this thing. If it was the head of the IRS who was directing this, then the head of the IRS should be criminally prosecuted. And I believe I read that he took the fifth, so they're kind of on the right track there.
Judge,
if you allow that to go without challenge, then you are encouraging government in the future to just abuse its power, and the power of government our government is practically limitless, regardless of whether the group that's in power is Republican, Democrat, or Independent. There has to be accountability. Otherwise, next time it'll happen again. It's about history repeating itself.
Right.
Yeah, she pled the fifth, and it was the strangest thing. Before she pled the fifth, she said that she was innocent of everything and she didn't have anything to hide. And the next thing she said was that she pled the fifth. It was so bizarre. I never saw anything like that.
Didn't she say she wasn't good at math too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's who we have in charge of the IRS.
That's who's in charge of the IRS. She's not good at math, but that's hilarious.
I'm not good at law, but I think I'll become a judge.
Yeah. Well, Judge, let me ask you something. Let's quick change the pace. How do you feel about the music that's coming out? What are you listening to? What's in your iPod, Judge?
That's a funny question because I listen to everything. I mean, I listen to classical when I'm stressed out and I want to relax. I'll put on classical music. I love rock. I love jazz. I'm Cuban, so I like Latin music. It depends on I'll listen to hip hop, depending on what mood I'm in. I'll listen to just about anything, and I have a whole variety of stuff in my iPod. Some of it I work out to, some of it I run to, and some of it I just use for chilling.
Chilling. Well, we're about to turn up with you, Judge Alex. Whatever you want to hear right now, we're going to play it on 91.5 WPRK. You're in the mix with Judge Alex, DJ Wire. We really appreciate you for your time, Judge. It was a great interview.
Oh, thank you very much. I want to put on some Springsteen to take me back a little bit.
All right,
let's go. Judge Alex requests right here on Wire Radio, y'all. Saturday nights, don't go nowhere.